Hi Leo, it's Jenny here with your March tarot forecast. So we're just going to be pulling a single card from my Salvador Dali tarot deck to take a look at what's coming up for you this March. So the first 2/3 of March is going to be the end of Pisces season. And since Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac, this is concluding the energetic year that we've just had. So, and then with the equinox, we're going to be starting into Aries season, which is the beginning of the energetic new year. So this has kind of a lot of feeling of ending of cycles and kind of like that new year vibe, just not a calendar year. And looks like that card wants to come out. So try not to drop everything else. So I've got a single card for you, Leo, and this is what we got. So we have the Four of Cups reversed. So this is the way it looks the right way up. So we have this naked man here, and he's sitting with his head in his knees. He could be resting. He could also kind of be upset or in despair. Then there's this tree up top with this bird and cup sitting there, kind of hand reaching out from the tree. And then behind him we have this kind of interesting figure. It's a very feminine figure with the naked breasts there, but the head is of a bird. And then we have the remainder of the cups there, and it came out upside down like that. Okay, so Four of Cups. Let's see what we have to say here. Four of Cups, your own personal motivation. The tree in the picture is a symbol of nature and also of man as a special part of nature. The young man in the picture is shown sitting at the foot of the tree, meaning that he is rooted in himself. On the other hand, this card counsels you to interrupt your daily routine in order to find refuge within yourself and to contemplate your situation. On the one hand, this card counsels you to interrupt your daily routine. On the other, it challenges you to stop your brooding, to find a new direction in life, and to reach for the stars like the tree. Expect new emotional experiences, note the hand. The cup above the tree reminds us of the card, the Ace of Cups. Here it is also a matter of ups and downs, joys and sorrows, and of finding the right balance between your own feelings and those of others. You might have to accept this new cup no matter what its contents, or you might refuse to accept this cup. Quite often, it is this refusal, the saying of the simple word no, that has been missing from your life previously. The bird in the tree warns you of your own eccentricities and flights of fancy. At the same time, it heralds the coming of new enthusiasm and new meanings. The shadowy figure on the left, uniting a bird's head with a female body, represents your emotional reserves. But beware, the ancient Greek myths describe the sirens this way, soul birds, or literally bewitchers. Ulysses escaped from being lured to destruction by the power of their seductive song only by tying himself to the mast and by sealing the ears of his comrades with wax. Practical advice. Explore your feelings, relax, and allow your spirit to float. Define your boundaries. It is in deep meditation and in silence that you will find the right words to express your previously mute emotions and experiences. Okay, so this is, the cup suit is a water element and is the suit of emotions, so emotional heart space, and this one is there's this kind of mixed quality. It's got this melancholy potential of brooding, but it's also that flip of meditation. So retreating into yourself and really allowing and things to come up and percolating and resting. It can kind of go either way, where if you're in a very relaxed state and you're allowing things to come through and you're not forcing any one thing in particular, that can be a really restful state of meditation and can allow for new insights and new emotions to come in and really see what is present and allow it to be. But that can also really tinge it a little, and if you're very focused or like pick one thing and agitate on it a lot, or are tense and not in a relaxed state, then that can look like brooding, can look like this emotional gripping sort of like, oh, what should I be doing, or oh, I feel this way, and just kind of chewing on it instead of allowing it to flow. So these emotional kind of ups and downs, joys and sorrows that you can be having, you can kind of go either way with it. Are you going to really like dig in and kind of like grip it and make those emotions the only thing that you're playing with, or if you have like an agenda of wanting to feel a certain way or wanting to come to a certain conclusion, then you might kind of get stuck in that brooding loop instead of being significantly more open to exploring what it is that's emotionally coming up. But this isn't just being tossed on the emotional winds of letting anything happen to you. There is this quality of still being very rooted. And so when we have the numerology of tarot, number 4 is a very stable number. There's 4 corners, 4 points. It's like solid. So there is this quality of being rooted in yourself, both with the tree and the number 4. That is really it's understanding that yourself and the core of your being is not your emotions. That you are a being that has emotions, that experiences things, but they are not you. And often that brooding element can be hyper-identifying with the emotions as being who you are, and so you're really committed to having a certain emotional experience because you believe that that very much says something about you, or you're identifying with being those emotions, and so you have way more attachment to what those emotions may be. But if you understand that the man is there separate from the cups. The man is there rooted in this experience of life and this tree without being the cups, without being those feelings. And so understanding that, like, this really wanting to root into who you are and really trying to come into an understanding of your boundaries and your like that essence of who you are, then you get to accept or refuse the emotions that come to you. And that is also one of those key things, is you are not completely at the whim of what it is that might be coming through. You are allowed to refuse one of these cups. You are allowed to say no to some of these experiences. And that is, in fact, many of the ways that you define your boundaries and define who you are, and not be just completely dumped upon, whether these are externally kind of driven emotions or requests on your time or energy, or whether they're internal. You're allowed to like put the brakes on that and say, no, I am the me that experiences these emotions, which means I am allowed to accept or refuse, which isn't the same thing as repressing. It does have that kind of balance. It needs to kind of be explored that way. So there's this options for the new. But your relationship to how you view these emotions is going to really be determined by how connected and rooted you are, and if you found refuge in yourself in order to receive that situation. It's kind of this interesting concept with the siren here, and this reference to Ulysses listening to the sirens. Where, like, in that story, like, yes, okay, the stopping up the wax so that you can sail by without hearing the sirens and getting to safety, that would have been just the smarter thing, that everybody, balls up their ears, including Ulysses, and saying, like, nope, we're not listening to the sirens, we have a goal, we're going somewhere. But Ulysses is not that kind of guy. He needs to experience this. He's like, I want to hear the song of the sirens. I want to know what it is that kind of drives men to their deaths, but I obviously don't want to die, so I'm going to be tied to the mast, and I'm going to be the only one who hears the siren, but the men are going to get the boat to safety. So there is this element of risk that's not necessary. It's kind of foolhardy. What if he had broken free of the ropes? What if he'd gone mad? What if the sound of the sirens is actually really atrocious, and that's why people kill themselves? He didn't know that. He took this risk. He wanted to know. So there is this capacity as well, but that's one of the choices you get to have. Is there can be a very, practical kind of weathering of emotions. There can be this very, grounded experience of refuge and meditation. But you also have this option if you want to engage with the siren. You can engage with risk. You can engage with the unknown. You can engage with a discovery or an experience that may give you some entirely new insight or experience that you can only really approach if you are really well resourced. You've got your crewmen of people that can help you and that can get the boat to safety, and you're intelligent about it. You've thought it through. You've mitigated the danger. You tied yourself to the mast. You've tied yourself to something that you really trust in, and you have a company of people that you like. All of these kinds of things. You're not just going at it haphazardly. If I want to hear the siren, so I'm going to jump in the water. If you're really going to challenge something like that and risk that experience, then by all means go for it. But this is this possibility of what you may learn that may also risk destruction. So that's the really interesting element of this card with that kind of siren, that yes, we've got this possibilities of these more stable emotions, or this, the concepts of trying not to brood. All of those are really excellent. But there's this also feeling of exploration and risk that yeah, you can add to it. So there may be this opportunity to sit with this potential emotional kind of siren call that maybe at other times in your life either did cause you destruction and you did dash your boat against the rocks, as it were, or you just didn't have the ability, you had to cover your ears and just kind of get through. So this may be a time where there's a potential to kind of flirt with that side of things and pull a Ulysses. But either way, you get to make this choice, because again, this is your personal motivation. All of these, this is all your life of what you choose to do with it. Whatever it is that you choose once you've from that grounded meditative space that isn't the brooding space, it isn't really about what it is that you choose. It's just the process at which you came to that conclusion, or your relationship to your emotional experiences, that then allows you to either make choices and kind of float on the currents in a relaxed kind of way, or to make it an intense way. So it's all about your relationship to the emotional experience rather than any one particular thing. So that's a lot about the card. Just pulling it into the astrology of now. So again, this beginning of March is Pisces season, and Pisces is very much it's an interesting just element with the siren and the Ulysses symbol, because Pisces is like this vast ocean, and Pisces is ruled by Neptune, who is like the god of the ocean and of the dream world. And so this dreamscape, this kind of possibility and illusion. And so there's this danger in Pisces of the delusion, of being drawn away from what's real, this kind of siren call into self-delusion or fantasy, where you're pulled so far out of the realm of reality that you may not come back. You may be stuck in fantasy, or you may even be driven to addiction if you're running from reality and trying to escape it. So there's all these kind of dark sides of the delusional capacity of Pisces, but it's this Neptunian potential of there's some things you can only find in the dream world. There's some things that certain kinds of wisdoms and creativity that are only to be found in the realms of what is not real, of what is not true, what is not, or at least what is not bound by the kind of more rigid rules of the structure of what we consider reality. There's something above that where you can take, like the wisdom and the truth that you get from art, which is in and of itself a distortion of reality, to create some sort of beauty or fantastical story. So the invitation in this beginning of March in Pisces is very much not to be so grounded in what is real, but instead to flirt with the edges of what is possible. This is definitely a great place, a time for that experience of meditation that the card mentioned, meditation and dream work, and connecting to the ether, connecting to universal consciousness, and connecting to your own kind of higher states of consciousness is really supported in Pisces time. Because of the kind of dissolving of the veil, as in the story of the zodiac, Pisces has completed their life of incarnation and is preparing to kind of transcend and kind of move back into the spiritual realm and release their physical body in order to begin that new cycle of life when we hit with Aries season and incarnate again. So it's this releasing of the old, this moving across the veil into the cosmic consciousness, and then starting the cycle over again. So meditation, and like if you kind of have a very feeling of out of body in this time, and this sort of everything feels a bit more like hazy or transcendental, that's actually really great. There's this really big opportunity, but it's that kind of like, you might need to tie yourself to the mast though. Like, you don't want to follow the siren call so far that you can't ground, that you can't come back. You want to hold yourself to the mast and then reach and listen for what you can hear in this kind of dissolved realm of fantasy, and then come back to it. Sail away from the siren, ground yourself again, still be tied to the mast, and still have made it through that realm of fantasy, ready for when equinox comes and Aries season comes along. There's a spark, there's a new insight, and in fact, most likely that insight was what was found and discovered off in that realm of transcendental connection to the fantasy world, that then that inspiration comes and says, what can we create now? What can we birth and bring into incarnation, into this real world, with Aries season? What's that spark? So it's going to be very connected into whatever can be learned in that meditative dream state, or connection there, that is hopefully somewhat grounded, so you don't disappear off into the rocks there. And then that is going to provide the seed of the inspiration that's going to kind of come towards the end of the month when we hit equinox and move into Aries season. Who knows what it's going to be? Very exciting. I think I'm probably not going to harp on anything more on this, because I'm just going to get excited and keep going. So I think the one other thing I just wanted to reiterate again is that you do have choice. You get to say yes to things, and you get to say no to things. And you can say yes for now and say no later, and you can say no for now and say less later. Like, none of these decisions have to be definite forever, especially in Pisces season still. Like, things are very, very fluid. There's a lot of kind of transitional, mutable energy. So, which is also a good thing to be mindful of when you are making commitments or plans with other people, is like, if you are still in this hazy, unsure sort of exploration stage, let people know. Like, if you can't be sure that your yes is a yes and your no is a no, let people know. Say, I don't know right now. Oh, I can't commit to that right now. Or, oh, I'm kind of juggling a few things. Can I get back to you? Or, I'm going to say yes for now, but that may change. Just really invite people along to your journey of uncertainty. If that's where you are right now, be really clear so that you're not rushing to try to be definitive when you're not really certain yet, but you're also not letting people down by, them committing to you and you're not ready to commit. So just be aware of that as well. So yeah, other than the yes, you can say yes and no at different times. Just again, the relaxation component of relax and allow the float, relax and allow the meditation, relax and allow those siren songs to just sing in your ear and tell you whatever it is that there's going to be. Yeah, just in that relaxed, meditative, receptive stage is when you get to receive that spark for what's coming up next. So wow, this video got really dark towards the end. The sun is setting as I film this. So I think that's all I've got for you for now, Leo. And I'm just going to let you know that I'm actually going to be starting the first of my pay what you can workshops for each zodiac season. So that's going to be starting with Aries season on equinox. I'm going to have a tarot astrology forecast for the upcoming season. It's going to be a collective reading. It's not going to be for one particular sign. And as I said, it is pay what you can. It's going to be hosted on this YouTube channel here. So if you want to come back and visit me at equinox and check out the Aries season forecast, then I'd love to see you then. Take care, Leo.